UFOs, ESP. Something very relevant to that topic comes from The Sleepwalkers by Kessler, which is a great book, which I've talked about a lot before. It's him talking about the history of cosmology and the blind spot of humans and the knowing about the planets going around the sun. And this is about Galileo, who he really thinks is a little turd of a person, which is what makes Kessler such a great science writer. It's very psychological, what he writes as well. But it's talking about a party in 1610, and the big controversy at the time was whether Jupiter had moons or not, because it would really put a hole in the old theory of the universe and how things worked. And so Galileo invented a new spyglass that was much stronger than the old one, and it was hard to use. But he had a party and he said, use the spyglass, look for yourself. And a couple of scholars there wouldn't even look. They wouldn't even try to see if it was there because it was just too threatening, which is very telling about how things work. And just an aside is he made more enemies, Galileo did, because one of the people died soon after, and he said of him, Libri did not choose to see my celestial trifles while he was here on earth. Perhaps he will do so now that he has gone to heaven. Which is a great line, and not a way to make friends. So what Kessler says is all the controversies about Jupiter and whether this was halos or reflections from luminous clouds and all of that reminds one of a similar controversy 300 years later, the flying saucers. Here too, emotion and prejudice combined with the technical difficulties against clear-cut conclusions. And here too, it is not unreasonable for self-respecting scholars to refuse to look at the photographic evidence for fear of making fool of themselves. Similar considerations may be applied to the refusal of otherwise open-minded scholars to get involved in the ambiguous phenomena of occult seances. The Jupiter moons were no less threatening to the outlook on the world of sober scholars in 1610 than, say, extrasensory perception was in 1950. And I think it's just a great look at what is going on in the world today and how it really isn't that new. We have the phenomena here, but we don't know the mechanisms of why it's happening, so we ignore the phenomena. And it's just an old human reaction, and it's very understandable, and to me it's just kind of funny. You know, if you don't believe in UFOs, I just don't think you're someone that looks at evidence. And as always, I'll say read the Kean book if you don't think the evidence is there.